Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. How nice that you are with us again. Today we shall be talking about one of the crucial questions of both the material and the spiritual life: proper nutrition. Why is nourishment so important? Because we have to provide the body with food several times a day. Because we form to a certain extent our own nature by that what we take in. It is said with good reason, man is what he eats. And because nutrition is a constant battlefield in the struggle between spirit and matter. If you want to begin seriously with the practice of Agni Yoga and with the spiritualization of your life, then the refinement of your eating habits will have to be one of the first and most important steps. Let us briefly make sure that we agree on the basics. First, the decisive statement for the complete transformation of your life is, I am a soul. The starting point of the practice of Agni Yoga, as we have discussed in previous broadcastings in detail, is your transformation from a material to a spiritual being. So, to know the real, do not think you have a soul, but the soul has you. Second, as spiritual beings, we all are still little children. If you want to become an immortal, a new man, a disciple of Agni Yoga, you have to start to nourish, to maintain, to purify, to heal, to train, to strengthen, and to let grow your true higher individuality. Immortality, your spiritual self, is, for the time being, no more than a potential which awaits development. We are here only for the perfectment of the spirit. Third, we had said there is no matter and no spirit, but only spirit matter. Matter is spirit matter with a low vibration, for example, ice. Spirit is spirit matter with a higher vibration, for example, water, or even higher, steam. The same applies to human beings. Our physical body is made of coarse, earthly matter with a low vibration. Our subtle body, body of emotions, body of instincts, and body of thoughts, is made of the finer matter with a higher vibration of the subtle world. And our eternal individuality, the fiery body, the soul, is an entity of the fiery world with the highest vibration, spirit, in the sense of the highest form of spirit matter. The transformation into a higher being, into an immortal, therefore means you need to put yourself, your physical, your emotional and your mental body each morning into a state of higher vibration. This requires above all to harbor only thoughts and feelings of a higher order, joy, enthusiasm, solemnity. And you have to make an effort during the course of the day to maintain this state of high vibration, or to restore it at once if the tension has dropped. Only then you are indeed a spiritual being with a higher vibration. What follows from this basic knowledge for everyday diet? As a spiritual being, you develop a completely different relationship to food. Your real self, your soul, needs as a spiritual being, not material, but spiritual food. So you will completely change your consciousness. If your stomach growls, you will no longer think, I am hungry, but my vehicle requires fuel. Should it really get some more already now? The soul is dependent for its nourishment, and therefore its life, upon the force of its high ideals. Each intake of physical food encumbers the soul. If you have acquired a certain sensitivity of feeling, you will perceive. Your eternal individuality is adversely affected in its spirituality by any, even the smallest amount of food. It is thereby tied to the material sphere, dragged down and obstructed in its flights. Therefore, fasting is always accompanied by a feeling of mental ease and liberation of the soul. We can prove this feeling scientifically. If you incorporate parts of gross matter with a low vibration, for example, physical food, into a being in a state of fine spirituality or high vibration, the necessary result, purely physically speaking, will be a drop in the level of vibrations. So you can see, food weakens and fasting strengthens your true, eternal, spiritual self. Observe how the stomach of the frail spirit growls for food. For your soul, eating is no pleasure. It is rather an annoying, time and energy-consuming, dragging down need, caused by the requirements of the material vehicle, the brother donkey, not unlike the refueling of your car. We are not disciples of Lucullus. Do not take this as a theoretical instruction. Do not exert coercion. Do not resort to a hostile, grim, joyless asceticism. The task is rather gradually transform yourself into a being which, precisely because it is spiritual, actually no longer finds pleasure in material food, as little as an elephant in eating meat. You enjoy other and higher pleasures, especially the living connection with the higher world, the spiritual conversation with your teacher. For this, you will willingly give up some lower delectations. People dream about their stomachs when their spirits should be filled with the grandeur of the highest. Agni Yoga teaches place little value on eating. This was translated rather cautiously. The teaching uses quite a harsh word here. One could also translate despise food. Everything we had already said about fight being the slogan of the new age of Aquarius, and about the mission of man as a spiritual fighter, becomes concrete, first of all, in the ordinary, grey, everyday life of all of us when it comes to nourishment. Here, indeed, is an essential step of the spiritual path with which every disciple must deal. Let no one think that he can bypass or skip this lowest level. One cannot skip over the following steps without mastering the first ones. Certainly, we can run swiftly through all the steps by great striving. Even so, however, our feet should touch each step. Here, several times a day, a real battle takes place between matter and spirit. For the body, eating is one of the greatest pleasures. He craves for frequent, opulent, sweet and fat meals. To enforce the interests of the soul against this animal desire is a constant struggle. The body uses all kinds of tricks to get his way. You must face this with a sophisticated strategy and tactics. This shows the first dragon which we, knights of the spirit, have to fight, and whose desire we have to starve, is within ourselves. Regarding food, it is particularly necessary to follow this fundamental instruction. Ask yourself, what does the spirit wish? Every, even the smallest step towards the spiritualization of your eating habits, every, even the smallest renunciation of unnecessary food is a victory of the spirit over yourself, over your lower self, a victory that strengthens the power of your eternal individuality. Do not indulge in illusions. The treading of the spiritual path requires a thorough departure from the customary, unsuitable Western eating habits. It is a feature of our materialistic culture, completely orientated on the mundane, on pleasure, selfishness, and consumption, that we, all of us, are eating much too much. Any look at the bodies of the people you encounter daily proves this. The Bible says about them, their God is their belly. With the old man, the animal lust of the body determines the food intake. It is wisely said that eating is the chains of the devil. The new man learns to determine the type and the amount of food according to the requirements of his higher self. If you adhere to this, you will find that you need much less food than would correspond to the habits of our culture. Opulent meals are a relic of ancient times when food was scarce. Today, however, from a worldwide perspective, overeating causes more damage to humanity than hunger. In general, food is not needed in the usual quantity. Many generations have been burdened by gluttony. Therefore, caution is required in applying countermeasures. In the final analysis, more people perish from overeating than from hunger. But a gradual process is required always in overcoming atavism. It is impossible to abolish overeating all at once. Nourishment according to spiritual principles means to eat only then, and only so much, as is absolutely necessary to maintain the body as a healthy and strong tool. No other meaning has food. Every unnecessary food is harmful. Why? Because it contradicts the primacy of the spirit. The rider, the master, shows an undignified image if he allows the donkey to make a fool of him, instead of keeping the donkey in check, as is required by the mission of both of them. All superfluous food is harmful. It is part of the inauguration to examine the aspirant whether he succumbs to the temptation of the palate. The disciples are in these days constantly offered from all sides many kinds of dishes that are incompatible with a spiritual life. To pass the inauguration in the midst of life requires to resist these temptations.